Okay, so I'm limited to the length of video I can record in YouTube, so I sometimes have to break these into a couple different pieces. So just kind of continuing what we were talking about. Occasionally you run into an image that has just a perfect white background, and those are the easiest. You honestly want to challenge yourself, so occasionally use an image that has some background in it, where you have to use something like the lasso tool or experiment with the quick select. But it's okay to have some images like this that have a white background. For something like that, if you just use the magic wand, you can click and it will select by color. So if I tried to click on the actual figure here, it's a little bit more difficult because there's lights, darks, and the magic wand goes by color. So when I click on white, it spreads out until it hits an area that is too different from the original pixel that I clicked on. You can change how much it spreads out before it stops by changing the tolerance. So if the tolerance is low, if I set that higher, say 50, and then I click on this white, now it's going to spread out even more, but it's still going to end up hitting really dark pixels that are too different from the one I clicked on originally. So you could hold down the Shift key and add a bunch of sections to it, but that's really time consuming. So instead, I'm going to set the tolerance back down to 10, and I'm not going to try to click on the figure itself. I'm just going to click on the white background because that's already one solid color. So when I click on that, it should pretty much get the whole white background right up until it runs into something that's part of the illustration. Now, because this is cut off, like the sword hits the top of the image, it can't spread out into this part. So it basically just stops in this one section here. So now if I hold down Shift, I can click in this part of it, and it will select pretty much everything in this area. And again, it's stopping where this hits the edge of the image. So again, I have to Shift click inside here. And it looks like that's spreading out and pretty much getting all that. And then I just have to Shift click inside some of these other areas to get all of that, including, now as soon as I try to click in between the fingers, it spread everywhere. So if it does that to you, if you just go up to Edit, Undo Magic Wand, it'll only undo the last thing you did, which in this case was a screw up. So I'm going to try that again. Let's see if I can undo that again. Okay. So if you do run into something like that, where I'm just having a difficult time selecting in there without it spreading out everywhere, you can try zooming in and Shift click, see if that helps. In this case, it didn't. So I can use another tool if I needed to. So right now I want to add that to the selection, so I'm going to just use my lasso tool, hold down the Shift key, and then just use my lasso to select that like that. And I can get in here. I don't want to nitpick this too much because I don't want this video to also go too long. But let me just do that really quickly. If there's anything else, you just Shift click inside there. It doesn't really like that either. So again, hold down the Shift key and just add that into the selection like that. And I may have missed a spot or two in there, but just for the sake of speed. Now realize that what you've done was you've selected the background. So in order to actually copy this figure, by the way, if you forget and you actually go to copy and paste in there, you'll paste exactly what you selected, which is the background, which is not what I want. So instead, you need to do a select inverse and then just copy it and paste it in there like that. Now, if you didn't get a perfect selection the first time, so say there's something I missed, like there's some hair in there that, or some background in there that should have been gone. If you do miss anything, there is an eraser tool over here that is gigantic right now. If I come up here to the top, I can change the brush size to something much smaller. Smaller than that. Okay, about like that big. And I can turn the hardness up to 100. If you don't do that, you'll get a really soft brush, which is good in some instances, but in this case, it's not what I want. So, setting the hardness up. I actually want to turn that down even smaller, almost like a 1 pixel brush in here. And I can erase some of that background like that. So again, the eraser tool is only if you paste the photo into this layer, and then you want to erase some of the pixels. You can do that here. Okay, so just like that. So again, the idea is just experiment with different selection tools and try the quick select, try the magic wand, try the lasso, try the magnetic lasso, even though it's terrible most of the time. Just see what you can play around with, but just again try to avoid just square selections if possible. All right, so let's just say I finished with this. Let's say I've got 9 different things in here. What you want to do then is just save it, and you'll submit the project. So just again double check that you've got 10 things total, including the background, and then when you save it, you're just going to go to File, Save As, save onto your computer, and then just make sure you name it, preferably with your last name, and then Project 1, and keep it as a Photoshop file. If you save it as anything else, like a JPEG or GIF or anything like that, you'll most likely lose your layers. And I want to be able to see all your layers, so I know that you've got all the elements in there, and I can see how well you made your selections. So just keep the file as a Photoshop file, and then just hit save. And then obviously pay attention to where you save it, because you'll need to be able to upload it to the when you submit the assignment. But that's pretty much it. Just throw in 9 additional things to the background that just say something about you, your interests, whatever it may be, and then make sure that they're not square selections, they're irregular selections. And that's pretty much all you have to do for Project 1.